we've used the word attraction before, or if you've been around people like Abraham Hicks, who talks about get into the vortex, right? So feel the feeling. If you feel the feeling of love, then you're going to um, send out love. And I've said that over and over again. But yesterday's changing it to a frequency for me, and for a couple of you that I know that you messaged me, really does change it, right? And Karen offered some information as well, about tuning in, right? And so again, the way that I understood it from my mentor was, if you're wanting to listen to country, you tune into the country and western station. And I think what I was trying to share with you and is we are the country and western station. We are the hard rock station. We are all of the stations ourselves. So for me, the profoundness is, once again, is in the powerfulness of the language, but the understanding it, I guess, like at that deeper level, and then embodying it, right? And so what I understood, that the beautiful simplicity and clarity that was given with Karen was, you feel, and I'm going to ask her to clarify this again, feel the feels, and then you're embodying it. That's the first part of embodying it. And Karen, is there anything else that you'd like to add to that? And I'm asking Karen because this is her specialty, right? One of her specialties. Um,
Um, no, just reinforcing, yeah, feeling it, bringing it in, anchoring it in your body,
yeah,
right? And visiting it often
right,
so that it becomes comfortable, because it may be uncomfortable. And then it becomes, from the mind's perspective, yours and who you are when you're there often. And then if you wish to add visualizations with it, depending on what the frequency is, I mean, you can visualize anything you want with any frequency, but that can also enhance and and again make it more real for the mind, because right, it doesn't know the difference between imagination and actual.
right,
So yeah, and
yeah,
as I say, daily, often
yeah,
tune into it.
yeah,
Ask your body to find your favorite station.
yeah. Oh. I love that. And so I'm just again sharing my own personal experience of the profoundness of emitting a frequency, right? And changing the word. So I know, I'm deeply aware that now, without thinking, I emit the frequency of serenity and peace, right? And I would say love would be the next one, and one that I still would embody, right? More changing it to frequency, which is a language that I understand, because I've been listening to meditation lots, and I like guided meditations. I like listening to the solfeggio notes. There's healing notes, like the 777 hertz frequency, the 426, whatever that is, and it explains to you, and this is in YouTube or Google, what these frequencies actually mean. And so for me, speaking the language of frequency and energy, which of course is a frequency, I think it's for me, maybe the word is humanized it a bit even more, like, so that my brain could wrap around the profoundness of this and making a decision about what that looks like. And so I think, no, I'm being corrected. The sense that I have been given is that when we use this along with what Karen is saying, like our visualization pieces, when we use it with our I am statements, it will be affirmations on steroids, because it's adding it at a deeper level. So, an affirmation that I've been using probably for the last, like consistently for the last 3 months, has been I am healed, I am healing, right? I'm healthy. And I'll just, every time I get up to go get a glass of water or something, I do that. So now, yesterday, I emitted the frequency of I am healing, I am healed, I am healthy, I am healthier. And I imagined, for me, I imagined a lighthouse, that I'm a lighthouse, and out of my head was this frequency going around like this of that light, the lighthouse, right? And emitting this frequency. And so for me, and sometimes it was different colors. Most of the time yesterday, this color was this brilliant white, and a green, right? That was coming out of my body, right? And to me, it was this beacon of, letting that frequency that is seeking me. So we'll go with like prosperity, or we can even go to like the money piece. We don't have to search for or look for money, right? Because it's there. That frequency is there. And so then again, I would use words like, are we tuned into? And then the deeper level is, are you emitting the frequency? What would be the emitting the frequency of prosperity for you? And or as specific as you want, what would emitting the frequency of money, more clients, right? More opportunity be for you? And Karen wrote in the chat, I'm so happy and grateful that I'm now the frequency of, and then whatever it is that you wanted to say. And I wanted to revisit this because when an exercise that you could do, if you feel called to, is decide what frequency you want to be before you sit down and do any of your social media posts, any of your talking about your mission, your vision, right? Declaring what you're doing, and decide what frequency you want that post to emit, and do that, and utilize that. So decide what frequency you want to emit, decide what frequency you want that post to emit, or that blog, or that show, or that sales call, right? Or a summit. What frequency do you want that to emit? And I'm being guided that this is a game changer, right? Because we can consciously make those decisions, and then add your 5 senses to it so that your brain can wrap around it, right? So what does that feel like? What does that taste like? What would that look like? Are there anything that you like you hear? And add as much as you can, and that's the anchoring piece, right? That's the anchoring piece. And with the clarity. Karen, have I missed anything?
I just put in the chat that if you can't embody this, if you can't feel it, if you can't go to that space, then that's just really, really good information as to, and then as you say, are you just not resonant? Are you resisting? Do you need to drop your barriers? Is there something here that's not letting this come with ease to you? And then it's not a wrongness. It's just like, as you say, the yeah, buts, right? There's gold there. So there's some really excellent information for you to look at for yourself as to what's preventing this from coming easily or naturally to you.
Excellent. Thank you. Yeah, for sure. I love that. And then or connect with Karen and make an appointment with her, because she's awesome and brilliant. So I know you won't say that. Connect with me. That's my job. Connect with Karen. Right. So yeah, absolutely. I think that's huge. Sherry, does that answer some of what we were talking about yesterday? She might be away from her phone. I'll let her come on and answer that. All right. There's one more message here. No, I guess before I do that, does anybody have any questions or clarifications? Yeah, no, that's okay, Sherry. I figured you're multitasking. Hop in if you can, whenever you can, even if I'm talking. So let me just see if I can put this in English. I think one of the benefits that I'm being shown of emitting a frequency is that if we desire something that we've not had before, it can be harder to imagine being that as if we are that, right? And so an example would be when I decided to bodybuild, I didn't know any women bodybuilders other than what was in the magazines. And I really didn't have a desire to be completely steroided out in what I was seeing in the magazines, right? Meaning that their legs were like tree trunks, saying that in terms of describing, not in terms of judgment, right? Just really, right, really big. And, I can already, at that time, and probably even now, more of the shorter hair, more masculine looking, like there's lots of times, and as I become more toned, people often confuse me for being more male, or asking if I've been a man, am I a man that transitioned? That happened lots, even before I was bodybuilding, right? And so what I did was I had a picture of myself and found an actual body type that looked similar to mine. And I had it I had my head and this body photoshopped, so it looked real. Because I when I was younger, I used to take cut out my head and put it on top, like with a body. I've had challenges with my body looking the way I've wanted to for up until now, for a long time. And so when I was a teenager, it was unrealistic, right? Like I was really in shape when I was a teenager. So that was, challenges of body dysmorphia and things like that. But when I wanted to bodybuild specifically, I had this, I had this photoshopped, and that helped me imagine, right, what that would look like. But the other questions I started to ask myself is, if I want to be a bodybuilder, so notice I didn't say do bodybuilding. If I want to be a bodybuilder, how do they show up differently than I'm showing up? And so I started to ask bodybuilders about, right, how, like, what was their sleep patterns like? What supplements did they take? What exercises they do? And I had a coach. I hired a coach right away that was a bodybuilder, because I was like, I don't know any of this. I didn't want to take the time to YouTube it and Google it and investigate it, right? I just wanted I wanted the results, meaning I wanted the program. And he put me in contact with other female bodybuilders, like what happens to their, right, like to their cycle, and when does the cycle go away? Because, if your body fat gets too low, your cycle disappears. How hard is that on your hormones? So I talked to bodybuilders who were older. Um, there are chances you can go into earlier menopause, things like that. And so, what foods do they eat? How do they think about foods when they ate foods? Right? What relationship did they have with foods? Like, I really dug deep into the beingness of a bodybuilder, and then decided that I wanted to behave or be like an athlete versus a bodybuilder, right? Because there was some of the shadow self of bodybuilding that I saw. And so part of my affirmations were, I am an athlete. And I had never played sports in high school. I would have told you that I wasn't athletic, that I was always really clumsy. And that part of that clumsiness, of course, was not being comfortable in my own body, not being comfortable as the person that I was. So I started to switch that out when I was bodybuilding. And so for those of us who want something outside of what we've ever had, we might have to do a little bit of extra work, right? So if we've never had a business that we were completely satisfied with, then we need to look at, what does that look like, or a life that we've been completely satisfied, or whatever your InDesign word is. Like, mine would be delight, right? So if I've never had a life that I had experienced delight on a regular basis, or a business that was full of delight, or what I would need to adjust how I think, right? Adjust my actions, adjust my behavior. And so that's why I believe that the gift that we've been given here, as the collective, is when we make a decision of what it is that we desire, or we've been given this gift of desire, we make a decision to act upon the gift of the desire, then we can ask ourselves, well, who do I need to be, right? And what's different about that person than the person that I am? And either maybe even before, what frequencies do I need to emit, right? And so for me, right, building a company that I decided I wanted to be bigger than I had wanted it to be in the past, I need to emit the frequency of and I think yesterday's like, I've been really consistent, but can I be, can I be more consistent? So I looked at, what would consistency look like? And then it was like, after sitting with it, it's like, no, I'm really consistent, right? I'm in awareness of my lunar cycle, and I'm consistent in my lunar cycle. So the outside person looking at me might not think I'm consistent, but I know that I'm consistent. And so then I just asked Divine to guide me on, what frequencies will I be required to emit to build my $1 million company? What frequency will I need to emit to have and build the nonprofit? What frequency do I need to emit to start working on and living in Costa Rica? What frequency do I need to emit so I'm healthy enough? Well, healthy, not even enough. Let me rephrase that. Healthy, right? So that I can enjoy living in the country and taking advantage of, right? And when I asked that question, what became really apparent for me is that the reason why this is a magnificent obsession for me is that I no longer resonate with the frequency of red deer. And I'm not even sure if I resonate with the frequency of Canada. I don't know that. But I certainly know that I'm not resonating with the frequency of red deer. Right. And so, which for me was profound. Right. And it was profound because it's a recognition of what I'm not resonating with. So great, now that I know what I don't resonate with, what frequency do I need to emit to honor that? Right. And so, and then choosing words that resonate with me. So what frequency do you want to emit? Right. Making the decision, like where your desires at. What do you want your business to look like, your life to look like? Right. What does, even as down to the simple hours of your operation. Right. Like I have people in my life that the life that they desire is 4 hours of work a day. Right. And although there's parts of that feels really sexy, I also know that as a reflector with a 1-3 profile, that would not happen, because there's so much that I'm committed, and not in a lack perspective, but in a, because the profile, the 1 and the 3, right? So the 1's the investigator, the 3's the sampler. So in my, like, again, in my head, that would be really sexy. And like, I took yesterday off. I had our call yesterday morning, and I didn't work, wasn't in front of my computer at all. And I'm fully revamped. I'm fully like, just like, I feel like I had a 2-week vacation. I don't need a lot of time, right, to take to kind of settle into. And so that, although that sounds sexy, there's a part of me now that knows that might not actually happen. And I don't have to feel guilty or shame about it, which is I would have been for. Because all of my people are like, well, no, a great work week. And that's because for them, 20 hours a week is like, that would be fantastic. Right. So going back to, what is it that you desire in your life, and allowing yourself to like really, really dream. So Sarah, we talked about kind of what you wanted to create, what frequency would you need to emit. And as Karen said, if you don't know, you just ask, right? Ask your guides, ask your higher power. You'll be led to that. So I hope that makes a bit, taking the theory of what we've talked about it and starting to apply it was my intention for today. Right. So Sarah wrote confidence, joy, and pleasure. I love those words. Right. And so then you can start actually using those in your I am statements. I am joy. I'm so happy and grateful now that joy comes to me every single day in every single way. I'm so happy and grateful now that I emit the frequency of joy. Right. You might even just walk around while you're grabbing your water, your coffee at work or at home. Joy, 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 right? Whatever that would look like for you. And so an amazing opportunity for all of us, right? To just sit in whatever that frequency is and sit with it and then emit it. All right, I'm going to stop the recording just in case someone has a question.